Hello, welcome back. I was tagged by the wonderful Charlie. I love his channel. Please check him out. I'll put a link to him in the bio. And we're doing a bedroom video today because I am notoriously lazy and why not? So this is the end of the decade tag. You know what's really bad about this tag is that when I first saw it, I thought, oh, I can jump back to 2000. Yeah, that was 20 years ago. That was 2 decades ago. Just have that moment of feeling suddenly very old. It's very simple. The years are grouped up into groups: 2010 to 2013, 2014 to 2016, 2017 to 2019. There's a series of questions that you answer in each group. Before we get to this, I don't know who to tag again. So what I'm going to do is leave this an open tag. I'm just going to tag all of my booktube friends on Twitter. And if you guys want to do it, please do it, because this is interesting. And I feel very old right now. Just want to add that to the mix. So first things first, 2010 to 2013 were not good years in my life. A lot was going on. I was literally 2010, I just left college. I was 21 years old. No. Oh, Jesus, no, I was 22. I'm 32 next year. Oh, God. Anyway, so how much did you read in these periods? You know what? I didn't record my reading. I've never really recorded my reading. I was definitely I think I'd just gone kind of introverted and emo-ish. I was in like the worst depression of my life. And I started reading a lot of very dark classics. I discovered Lovecraft during this period of my life, which, amazing, by the way. I remember reading a lot of Cassandra Clare. It was like two extremes. I was going between really happy, bouncy books and fun books like Cassandra Clare and rereading and sort of reading the Twilight Saga for the umpteenth time and rereading Harry Potter to reading a lot of classics and gothic horror. That's a thing, so I can't tell you how much I read. 2. What genres did you read the most? Urban fantasy was like my thing. A lot of just general fantasy and gothic horror. They're the books that stick out in my head. Like, I probably read tons more, but these are the books that go into my brain and go, well, I read that, yeah. So that's where my brain is going. There's probably a lot more on that list, but you know what's scary? I had a YouTube channel at that time. We don't talk about that channel though. 3. Favourite books and writers. Cassandra Clare. I spent a long time with her books, and they're still, even then I acknowledge they weren't great, but they were still guilty pleasures, you know. They were feel-good and fun, and what I needed at that time. Yeah, that's the people that's what I remember. I remember The Host by Stephanie Meyer. I love that book. Even now, I absolutely love The Host. I think it's the best thing she's ever written. Like, you wouldn't know it was the same writer that wrote Twilight. So yeah, that was like my 2010 to 2013, a really bleak 3 years in my life. 4. Is there a book you wish you had read during this period? I can't think of any. Like, I think books find you at the right time. Even if they've came out at that time, they find you at the right time. Okay, next period. 2014 to 2016. Again, the same questions. How much did you read? Again, I don't think I really recorded it, but I do remember I went through a period of not reading. I went through like about 6 months, a year of sort of intermittent not reading for some reason. Again, I think there was a lot going on in my life. My 20s have been hard work, and I'm so glad they're over. I don't know with that one. That's a difficult question to answer because I've never really recorded what I read up until BookTube. So, 2. What genres did you read the most? 2014 to 2016, I was probably in the. I do remember rereading a lot of fantasy, old fantasy books that I loved. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that pops into my head more than anything. At that time, like I had to kind of go back and look at some pictures and some very embarrassing old photos, and yeah, that's what I remember from that. I do remember reading Lord of the Rings on a loop. I don't know why, but I do remember rereading that a lot at that time, so probably a lot. 3. Favourite books of that time, or writers. Again, that's a more difficult one. I was probably John Green. Definitely, I remember reading John Green. And I remember reading Tolkien, so John Green and Tolkien probably at that time. Ballparking that one because it's been a very long time since I've visited that stuff. 4. Is there a book you wish you read during this time? Not particularly. Again, I believe books find you at the right moment. Although I do regret reading there's a lot of classics that I've only just really dived into that I regret not reading. And 5, reading regrets, which I forgot to answer on the previous one. I don't have any at that point. I don't think I do anyway. I do regret having a massive Stephen King clear out. I'm not the biggest King fan, but there were some of his books that I got rid of that I do regret clearing out. 2017 to 2019. So now we are coming into the booktube era of Bald Book Geek, or as my channel was originally called, Will2988. This is a bit easier because everything's more recorded and I've got this information. So how much did you read? Just look at my YouTube channel from that era. Across the last few years, I think my reading has gone up. I think in the last few years, I've managed to do about a book a week. I've always been able to do that, like a book in a week, but for me, it's been a constant thing. Constant focus on reading. I really like that, so that's always good. 2, what genres did you read the most? I've done a lot of science fiction, a lot of fantasy, a lot of very dark fantasy. Found a love of certain erotic novels, which has surprised me. I think it's been such an open book, excuse the pun, for this year. The last 3 years book-wise, since starting BookTube, because I've discovered books I would never have read via BookTube. It's that simple. 4, is there a book you wish you had read? Because I've suddenly, a lot of doors opened when it comes to books, and stuff that I've read and stuff that I haven't picked up yet, I've usually been quite validated in my opinion of, or I've visited and later and gone, well, this has happened. Reading regrets. I do have a reading regret, and that's probably just, I regret not doing more videos about classics, because I shot a lot of videos you guys have never seen. You'll just have to see. Might upload those one day, who knows. So, now we're at the questions that relate to now. When did you find BookTube? So, I discovered BookTube in probably 2014, 2015. Although I'd always looked for book reviews, that's when I discovered it. I started watching people like Jen Campbell, was a big influence on me, booktubing wise, but there's a lot of other people. A lot of people I watched aren't doing it anymore, which is sad, or moved on other things. But yeah, I talked about doing this channel for about a year before I did it, which that's a regret, by the way. I wish I'd started this channel much sooner. I wanted to do it for so long, and I just didn't. I didn't have the guts to do it. And finally, do you think your reading habits have changed? Yeah. I think, like I said earlier, that I've read a lot of books that I would never have picked up if it hadn't been for BookTube. I found the Nevernight Chronicles through BookTube. Just doing that and being here and doing all of this stuff has blown my mind in that. Like, my reading habits are probably more open than they were. And I think I've become a bit of a snob in certain respects just because I'm me and I'm flawed. I'm a flawed human, and sometimes I let my presumptions dictate opinion, which I shouldn't do, but I think we're all guilty of that. Dear God. Just want to say I'm in shock that this decade has gone by so fast. Here's to the next 10 years.